All right, welcome back to the Cow Guy Close. I'm Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. The black and white jacket usually gives that away, or it's either that or Chick-fil-A, who knows. All right, well, today it's going to be all about the Fed and their outlook going forward. Most have interest rate hikes starting in March. Do those plans change? How many this year? What does the plan actually look like from the Fed? How strong is the economy, and how many interest rate hikes can the economy take? I mean, all these questions. Our next guest has all the answers. Please welcome to the show, Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law. Roger, thanks for joining the show by phone. I really appreciate you coming on. It looks as though they basically came out and said, you know, there's that commercial, Roger, with Captain Obvious. And I think they just got a Captain Obvious statement that they say that they'll begin to raise interest rates soon as inflation is rampant. I don't know about Captain Obvious. Maybe that was a third grade report, third grade book report. But I don't think there's anything that they could have done less than say that.
Yeah, well, I remember just a few years ago when the Boston Celtics were having trouble that they said that Larry Bird was not walking out on the floor anytime soon. With respect to this, I would say Paul Volcker's not showing up as chairman of Fed anytime soon either. It's hard to explain what the policy is. Obviously, interest rates are high, inflation is high. And there is no reason to have record low interest rates. Somebody needs to take the bull by the horn and be a Paul Volcker.
But it's such an unelectable thing to do, is take the punch bowl away from the party. And a lot of times I think that yes, a lot of those people that are at the Federal Reserve Board are very, very smart people, and maybe sometimes they're a little bit too book smart and they don't have street smart experience. But I used to have a football coach that would say, he'd get up on the board. And draw up the play, and all the X's and O's, and fairly detailed. But then after we all had it down, and he asked us over and over again, "Do we have it down?" And we all said yes. He'd finish his speech with just one line, and he'd say, "Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that when the ball is snapped, the other guys move too, right? They're not going to be where I have them here on the board, and that's up to you to find them, right?" So I sometimes think that's how the Fed works, right? In practice, they've got the right idea, but the ball gets snapped and everything changes, and they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like they're locked into this low interest rate policy, and you're right, the ball is moved, and it's time to change the policy. And we saw that in the late 70s and 79 when Volcker increased the interest rates. Now, yeah, it was painful, and it was incredibly painful in the ag sector. But when he sat there before Congress and said, "I'm going to wring inflation out of the economy," he meant it, and we saw what happened. But this Fed's not going to do that. They're going to do it in baby steps. But I think it's time to take the first baby step, and maybe the market's already factored that in. That could be one possibility. There may not be that much of a shakeout because the market has already anticipated that rates are going to go up. So that may have already been baked into the equation.
Yeah, I think with the market, yes, I think you're right, and I think the market really was kind of looking more for some sort of signal today about how many this could be or how long this might go on. And then the Fed won't actually say that, but I think that that's really the next thing that the market's going to try to sniff out. And my question to you is this: I'm alone on my little island on this idea that I don't really think the U.S. economy is doing as well as a lot of folks think, or a lot of folks tell us it is, right? I still think that there's some big gaps, and it's just not as healthy. And I'm not sure. I mean, I think this is why the Fed's in a problem. Is I'm not sure that they can surgically remove inflation by raising rates, but not hurt the economy, right? You understand? So do you think that it's going to be possible to raise interest rates across the board and not really, have the economy stutter? Because if you look at the last three jobs numbers we got, right, we're going to get another one pretty soon here, but we've been missing them terribly, due to the expectations, right? That's not scientific, but expectations give you an idea about what people's thoughts are. We're missing a lot of our economic indicators, and we're not hitting the mark. So can we handle some folks are calling for 8 interest rate hikes this year.
Well, it will have to go up. Now, will there be a hit on the economy? Yes, and you're right. The fundamentals, if you dig through the numbers deeply, you're going to find that the economy is really struggling. We see that with new housing starts. They're way off. The money supply has quintupled in the past year. You can't have an economy that sustains that much infusion of dollars into the economy without it creating tremendous problems. We've got record low numbers percentage-wise in the workforce, but we've really got about 4 different government policies at work here that have created inflation in the economy, and it's not something that's transitory. It is a problem across the board, and the Fed is going to have to bump those interest rates, and there will be an effect. And I don't think there'll be an effect too much in ag in 2022, but I think it will be in 2023 once rates go up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And to your point, when it comes to money supply, one of the most shocking statistics I've heard in a long time, and it takes a lot to shock me, where I've been around for 35 years, to your point about money supply, since the inception of this republic, right, going back to the first day that we started as the United States of America, 29% of the dollars that are flowing through our economy right now have been printed within the last 2 years.
Yeah. At my tax seminars this past fall, I put some charts using the Federal Reserve's economic data, their own data, and just put some slides up that they create and show in graphs the increase in the money supply, and it quintupled in 2020. And then I just sit there and let the tax professionals and the attorneys that attend my seminar just look at that. And I said, now you got to think what the impact on the economy is going to be with respect to your client base, and be prepared for that. Now, what I tell them is with ag, when interest rates rise in 2022, and that's expected to be the case, I don't think we see much of a hit in the ag sector until loans have to be renewed. And that's going to be at the start of 23. So if the government raises the rates this year, most farmers are already locked in for this year. So I think producers get through this year with very low interest rates because, the rates haven't gone up yet, but they will. Right. And your farm operating loans are still at about 3 to 3.5%. So that's a historic low. Okay. But when they come in to renew those loans next year, then that's where you're going to see it, at least in part of the lending, part of the loans for farmers.
All right, we're going to have to buckle up for that. Thank you very much. That's Roger McEowen. Great stuff, Roger. Really appreciate you pulling over and talking to us. Let's take a look at my go-tos. I look at these every day to see how the market's going to open up. Let's start with the gold. That's the G. Look at this. It's off. This is telling me for sure that Bitcoin is stealing a lot of the luster from gold, because Bitcoin is a lot higher today. Let's move over to see what that oil market's doing. There you go, Bitcoin. We got it up there. Look at that, 860 higher. This is almost maybe a little bit of a better indicator. Let's take a look at oil. What's that doing today? Almost up $2, right? Look at that. That's inflationary, folks. That's going to continue with what we're worried about, and the Fed's going to be trying to fight. How about that 10-year yield? And then let's take a look at the U.S. dollar first, I guess. Stronger again, above that 96 level at 96 spot 125. And then lastly, let's take a look at the 10-year yield. Here we go. 177, not doing very much, but we were all waiting to see what the Fed didn't have to say. All right, coming up, the queen of crude. I hope she likes that. Carly Garner has her eye on oil and how it could impact the prices at the pump. And you're watching the Cow Guy Close on RFD-TV. We'll be right back after this.